Hi again. Let's talk about migration. I've touched a lot on migration already as we've been setting up your bullet journal because you saw me pulling information from my old bullet journal into my new bullet journal. But I want to go a little bit deeper on migration because there's a couple techniques or philosophies that are really important here. So the first most important thing that we've already covered is that no dot goes without a demarcation. It must have a modifier next to it, either that it is waiting for somebody else, that it's complete, that it no longer is important, that it's been migrated forward, or that it's been delegated. The task must be modified. Otherwise, it hasn't been done, it hasn't been touched, and it is now just floating out in the ether, which is just as bad as when we were holding all our tasks in our head. So the first thing that I want you to really be paying attention to is, do your tasks have modifiers after a day? And if in that daily log they don't get modified, the modifier needs to be a migration symbol. So it needs to be moved forward or back or delegated. So moved forward to the next week, moved forward to tomorrow, moved forward somehow. Ideally, when you do your weekly review, you'll notice if a task got moved forward a few times or was slashed with a waiting for symbol, but not a total X. So you took action, but the action wasn't able to be completed because you needed information from someone else or something else. So again, that's when it's time to look to migration. Do you need to move this task forward into the new week because it didn't get finished? This is a really important point because sometimes at a glance it'll look like, oh yeah, all my dots have been modified somehow, thus everything is captured and it's fine. But that's actually not the case. Oftentimes I'll mark something as waiting for and then totally miss it for a week, and then in my weekly review notice, oh, this actually isn't done. I need to go back and migrate this forward or migrate it to my future log or delegate it so that it gets done. A note on delegation as well. I will sometimes put a task in my weekly log knowing that what the actual task is to delegate it to my team. So the task is in my bullet journal just so that I know the task needs action taken, but then the action for me is to delegate it, not to actually do it myself. So again, the dot gets a modifier, it gets delegated, but now someone else is doing it. The final principle I want to impress upon you for migration is with regards to how much migration is allowed. Now, everyone is different, but a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we have big, fabulous ideas and we want to do them all, which is a problem, which is why we talk about scaling a lot here at Empire Builder Coaching. So if you find that you've migrated something a few times and it's just not getting done, it may be time to simply slash it and let it go. I call this bless and release, and this takes an important level of honesty from you. So is it something that seems nice? It's rosy, it's a lovely idea, but really it's not the right fit for your business? Is it something that really needs to happen now or ever? Does it need to be delegated? Should it be shared with somebody else and they can take action on it as their own idea? If you keep kicking the can down the road, right, and it's just not happening, I want you to be willing to get honest with yourself that maybe this thing isn't what you think it is, or it needs to be broken down further, which some of the bonus logs that I share with you might help with that. There are some tasks that I have migrated several times and then realized, wow, this is actually not going to happen right now. Actually, this course is one of them. I had intended to complete this course in October and found that that was not the right time for my business to be focused on course creation. And so I migrated it into my future log instead of continuing to bump it forward. If you keep migrating something over and over, it's not just taking up space in your bullet journal, it's creating mental fatigue for you. You're now carrying this thing that just isn't going to happen right now. So if I had kept migrating the bullet journal course for a month and a half, it would have weighed on me. I would have felt like a failure. I would have felt like I wasn't making the time to do something that I thought I wanted to do. And it would have just really been frustrating. So if it's something that you still want to accomplish, definitely feel free to put it into your future log or put it into your next week's tasks or something else. But I really want you to be truthful with yourself that maybe you're migrating it because it just isn't going to happen and doesn't need to happen. Another note on this is that if you really feel like you need to hold on to ideas and they're things that aren't actionable yet, take a look at some of the bonus logs, because one of them creates the space for holding ideas without feeling like you're carrying the weight of them. So you externalize the idea, but you don't have to worry about whether or not you're able to take action immediately. So that's migration. Your daily review and weekly review will power your migration. When you move things from your current bullet journal to your future bullet journal, the things that you'll migrate are, of course, your future log, things like the index, any logs that you're using as idea holders, and anything outstanding that is in your current bullet journal. A lot of the bonus logs that I'm going to show you are things that I migrate every time, at least to some extent, but there's also a culling process. If something's been sitting in my bullet journal for the entire time I've used it and it hasn't been touched or had any sort of action taken on it, it's usually time to let it go. And so in the migration from bullet journal to bullet journal, I also do some culling, and that's helpful too. I hope migration makes sense to you now. It's a powerful tool and it really helps to stay organized and to know what really matters. Hi, I'm popping back in to say something a little bit more about migration. It's a different day, I'm wearing a different outfit. Something to bear in mind when you're doing migration is that you're also migrating from your digital platforms. So from your digital calendar and from your digital tasking software. If you don't use digital tasking software yet, that's okay, but you probably are going to want to use it at some point because you'll have a team. And it's really hard to create assignments on paper when your team is not in the office with you. So when you migrate, especially for your daily log, part of the process is to also look at what's on your digital calendar and what's in your task manager online. For example, my assistant sometimes will task me with things overnight or the day before or a couple days before, but set the deadline for it today. And I need those to be in my bullet journal. I need to be able to take action on them. And if they're in my bullet journal, I will do them. If they're digital, I probably won't. So part of migration is not just within the bullet journal, but also pulling from external sources that you use in order to scale. So paper is not scalable. It's unfortunate because it's so powerful, but paper isn't scalable. Digital is. And so we blend the two as entrepreneurs in order to be very successful. That means that part of your review process needs to include the digital. I hope that clarified just a little bit.